Music is the form of art that communicates and shares our internal experience with the world around us. It's heard by the ears, but received by the mind. So get ready to dive into this epic adventure, this series on understanding the elements of music. It's gonna be a mind-blowing. Hey yo, it's Alex from My Music, and as always with this channel, it's my mission to help you, the artist, produce themselves by developing their mindset, expanding their creativity, and connecting to their art, their music, in a deeper way. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing throughout this whole series as we dive deep into understanding and understanding music at a deeper level. Understanding music through music theory is primarily descriptive and not prescriptive, meaning that the observations of the tendencies and the best practices around music can only be measured after the fact of the actual event. It's in the hearts, the minds, and the souls of human beings that weave together the rhythms, bass, melodies, harmonies, dynamics into something meaningful expressions, sharing the interior world of our personal experiences. This series is intended to show you the foundation of the relationship between rhythm and tones, but also exploring the physical properties behind sound and music in general. But more importantly, we're going to go over some practical concepts that you can start to internalize to use in a practical way with your music and just understand yourself, your art, and music at a way deeper level. So a lot of the theory stuff that I'm going to be sharing with you is based on the European classical tradition from the 18th century. We're going to be using the equal temperament tuning system that's been around for about, 300 years. It's the tuning you've already heard and played for your whole life. And as we move forward in this series, some of the things we'll be referring to generally will be that a tone equals a specific sound and a note equals the written symbol of that sound. However, sometimes these terms can totally be used interchangeably, so I may mix them up once in a while. I hope this series with the fantastic push to will be an enlightening adventure into the fabric of which music is created, influencing our perception of accord, discord, tension, release, and telling a story. So one of the best places to start is to ask ourselves, what is music? Let me get poetic for a second. Music is what gives sound to our feelings. Through it, we love, we hope, we remember, we pray, we meditate, we contemplate. It's the breath of the soul in which we shape and refine part of ourselves to grow on our own personal journey, but also share it with other people. It is spirit taking form. You know what I'm saying? So more technically, music carries the vibration of air molecules, just like waves in the ocean. It uniquely transmits the inner world of a human mind to another. It's truly magical. It is really the push and the pull of meaning itself. Did you catch that metaphor of the push and pull thing being vibration? Yeah, you did. Throughout the process of creating music, we organize, shape, and imagine the core elements of music: rhythm, bass, melody, stroke, harmony, and dynamics. All right, so these four elements, rhythm, bass, melody, stroke, harmony, and dynamics, are the four elements that you will find in all kinds of music all around the world. In most music, you will find all four of these elements working together. And if you look real closely, you will probably find these elements interweaved within each other, even if you don't see them expressively. All right, these four elements are pretty magical because it connects to the various aspects of our own human experience. Rhythm moves the body. Whenever you catch somebody grooving out or dancing on the dance floor, most likely they're moving their body to the beat. And if we think about our body is the timekeeper of everything else. It has a heartbeat and it's pumping all the nutrients and all the blood to all the other areas of the body so that we can experience our emotions, our thoughts, our soul, our higher selves, all of that great stuff within it. All right, bass carries the emotions. So you might have heard this before, that bass, the bass of our voice carries the emotion. And for example, if you were to record the audio of two people arguing, really going at it in a room, and you took out all of the higher frequencies, you actually wouldn't be able to tell what they're saying, but you would definitely know that they are arguing because you would only hear the bass of their voice. And if you've ever been to a huge concert, chances are that you've already felt bass coming through the speakers. And if you have hairy arms like me, your hair starts standing up and you can literally physically feel the bass. And if you listen real closely to some of your favorite music, some of your favorite artists, chances are that when the bass comes in, it really invokes a feeling. It gives context and grounding to all of the other melodic and harmonic elements. Melody is all about sharing thought, about expressing oneself, about trying to communicate something. It's a reason why there's a parallel between language and music. When one refers to a part of a composition, you can call it a musical phrase that has specific punctuation within it. And if you've ever played around with a talk box or a wah pedal, or even did some sound design on a synth, with the way it shapes sound with different vowels and different textures, it can actually sound like a voice speaking to you. Dynamics is really the soul within the music. So it's the highs and lows over time. It's the story we tell. It's that tension and release. And it is what we imbue, the humanness that we inject into the music. And a great example is the difference between trying to program a funk beat and just recording a funk drummer. There's going to be little nuances, little ebbs and flows, being slightly off time, ahead or behind, that really expresses the humanness of the performance. So if we think of ourselves as human beings, we have multiple elements that make us up. We have the physical body, we experience emotions, we have thoughts, the soul, and it's the same thing in music. Music is the metaphor for experience. And that's why I personally think it's a universal language, because it's a shining example of these four elements working together cohesively in one space, telling a story. And what better metaphor could you have for human experience in general? Mind blown. In case you haven't noticed, I'm having a lot of fun switching all these cameras I set up, so I hope it's a good time. Next, let's talk about the idea of sonic dialects. So music is a universal language, and there's a reason why it parallels spoken language. So many parallels, man. It's crazy, bro. Jeez. It's almost like music speaks to you. Music often emulates many poetic devices. So for example, let's take live, love, learn. All right, these three words written out and put together create an emergent meaning that's larger than the sum of its parts. All right, it transcends all of the individual elements that make it up. They also all have one syllable, they start with the same letter, and they're all conceptual by nature. So these types of devices are crucial to evoke an aesthetic response in both music and poetry. All right, in music, notes rise and fall. All right, they're consonant or dissonant, legato or staccato. They push or they pull. These core dualities reflect the paradoxical nature of reality itself. No, it's pretty crazy. So the unity and contrast of these opposites become strung together to build a larger structure of meaning. All right, these smaller, interesting ideas then recombine to give you a shape that communicates a meaning. Let's look at the shape of Happy Birthday, and let's work with C major for now. And Happy Birthday starts on the fifth of the major scale and creates this cool rhythmic motif as it moves through the first phrase. Right, so it starts on the fifth, goes up to the sixth, goes back down to the fifth, then up to the root note, and then it falls down and has a little bit of dissonance at the end. Right, it ends on that major seven. Let's look at the second phrase. Right? You'll notice that that's the exact same rhythmic motif as the first phrase. Right? However, the little tail at the end of the second phrase is from the second, the major second, back to the root, as the first one was the root down to that major seventh. All right, in that third phrase, it starts out the same way, but it changes that rhythmic motif and adds in different notes. And then that final phrase has the same rhythmic motif as the first two phrases, but now we're climbing down notes instead of going up. I'll play it one more time and pay special attention to the rhythmic motifs and the development of the idea throughout these various phrases to create the overall shape of this little jingle. Right? Add some tension. Do you know what's coming next? So always keep in mind as we move forward through the series that the contrasting of opposites is what conveys meaning. High, low, long, short, strong, weak, loud, soft, consonant, dissonant, simple, complex. This is at the core of what makes great music and allows music to communicate itself effectively and evoke a response in the listener, the tension and release, the contrasting of opposites, confirming or denying expectations. If you're interested in learning more about a creative process that bakes in all of these ideas and concepts we've been talking about so far, I've created a super easy to follow 7-step framework called Workflow Wizardry that'll really help you implement all of this stuff in your music. So if you're interested in grabbing that, you can find it in the description below. The language of sound. Doesn't that sound epic? Any sound that can be heard as a pitch will be vibrating at a regular frequency with specific overtones and harmonics to give it a unique timbre. A piano, guitar, or voice can all sing the same tone, yet have a very different sound. A guitar. Damn, that sounds nice. A piano. A voice. Just kidding. I'm not going to do that to you. A good example of manipulating and shaping various overtones is to have a tone that you're singing and shape the vowels with your mouth. So the a, o, e, o, u are all manipulating overtones, but with the same core vibration. The other side to sound is what doesn't have a regular vibration. So white or pink noise, percussion, pick scrapes. This noise component of sound can be seen as a parallel to consonants in language. So drums for plosives, the P's, and cymbals for sibilants, the S's. Music can essentially be described with the sounds and the devices that we find in language. The combination of tones, overtones, and noise in conjunction with phrases, organizing rhythm, and form is what communicates to the listener. Are you ready for this epic adventure? I know I am, so click in the top left corner to watch the next video in the series where we'll be diving deep into these concepts on push 2.